Hey guys, I am Caleb with Nebraska Farm Boy. Thanks for joining me on another edition of Farm Boy in 30 Minutes. Yeah, it's windy again. You can probably hear it in the background. Maybe you can't. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. The wind in Nebraska starts about early January, goes through till about mid-June, and then starts again about late June and goes through until late December, and then it starts over again. So basically, if you want a good conversation starter, or there's like an awkward pause in the conversation, you just say, "Oh, it sure is windy outside today," and everybody's like, "Yep, it sure is windy." Nobody even looks outside. If it's not windy, then it's like a really funny joke because everybody thought it was windy because it's always windy. Anyways, sorry, not really that funny. It's kind of windy humor, if you will. I hope you all have been having as great of a life as I've been having. I have a really great life, just so you know. And recently, my life has been full of electrical work because my dad's an electrician, and I've been working with him as an apprentice. Recently, we just gone up to about 3 days a week that we work together. And, it's good. There's a lot of things about being an electrician's apprentice that I'd not really thought of. One of them being that you go into a lot of people's houses. And it's one thing to meet someone on the street and like kind of have an acquaintance with somebody. It's another thing to know them well enough that they invite you over to their house. It's another thing to be the electrician and go to their house, because first they're going to have a problem in the living room, and so they're going to be like, "Hey, do you want to see the problem in the living room?" It's like, well, we'll go see the problem in the living room. And, it's something to do with the light or the outlet, and it doesn't work, and they want you to say the magic words to make it work, when in reality, we're going to have to trace this all the way through this twisting, winding house back to the one main line that they ran, and then they branched off of that line to all the outlets, and so there's one circuit running everything because it's an old house. Anyways, they want you to have a simple fix, even though there is no simple fix for this. And then while you're at it, they suddenly remember that there is something not working upstairs, or maybe it's not. It is working. It's only half not working. It's only running at 80 volts instead of 120 volts. This kind of stuff happens. And so then you go upstairs, and then they're like, "Now do you want to see the panel in the basement?" It's like, "No, I really don't want to see your basement, but I will go down and see the panel in the basement." And the funny story is, the other day in the house that we were working in, I went downstairs to the basement, and I turned the corner and it's like this kind of dark brick basement. I turned the corner to where the panel is, and there's like this Halloween plastic skeleton hanging beside the panel, and I'm kind of like, that's kind of dark humor, if you ask me. Like, you invite the electrician to come down to your basement, and then you have the Halloween skeleton hanging by the panel. I don't know, it's kind of dark humor. Anyways, that's my life. Oh, the other thing about being an electrician's apprentice is that you gotta deal with everybody's dogs, because you're going to their houses, and it's your problem that you're there and then the dogs don't like you. More than the people's dog is, apparently it must be the contractor's dog, because I don't know. Anyways, so that's my life, and it's a lot of fun being an electrician's apprentice. Everybody should try it. What we're actually going to talk about today, besides my exciting life, is it biblical to be a patriot? And is it necessary to be a Christian to be a patriot? Or is it necessary to be a Christian to be a patriot? Yeah, I did say that right. Should Christians be patriots, and should patriots be Christians? That's what I wanted to get at today. And I think you all know the answer that I have. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably have a good idea of what I'm going to say. I mean, the back of my shirt, it's got, in defense of God, family, and country on it. That's kind of the channel motto. It's kind of my life's motto. It's like that's my hierarchy of values. It's my God, then my family, then my country. They all tie together. They're not separate or distinct. They all... my allegiance is first to my God, then to my family, then to my country, but my allegiance to God is what ties together my allegiance to my family and to my country. So you all know what my opinion is, probably. I'm very Christian, very patriot, but if we don't understand why we believe something, even if we believe the correct thing, assuming we believe the correct thing, for one thing, we won't even know if we believe the correct thing if we don't know why we believe it. But even if it is the correct thing, if we don't know why we believe it, if push comes to shove, we won't have anything to fall back on. And so then we're going to start questioning our values, and so then we aren't going to be effective. We're just going to cave and take the easy route out, even when that's the wrong route. And so I think it's very important that we think through these questions and we ask ourselves these questions: Is my Christianity in any way opposed to my ability to be a patriot, or vice versa. And I think that's something we need to work through. And I want to give a couple of arguments first for why Christians should be patriots, because I think that this is something that a lot of Christians struggle with, because they think, okay, so I have my allegiance to God. Do I have an allegiance to country? Because my country is all messed up, right? When in reality, it's not the bad that makes your country. You know, you don't have to have an allegiance to the bad in your country. However, I believe we are called to have an allegiance to our countries. Okay, I'm going to explain that as we go. Okay, so they have this problem of allegiances. Okay, and I think you could really think of this as they can't quite wrap their mind around how their allegiance to God actually gives them an allegiance to country. Okay, and it's just, to some people it seems like idolatry to have allegiance to country. I don't have time to get into all of this in this video, but I wanted to tackle some of these questions here. So the first point I want to go over for why a Christian should be a patriot is that God put you in your country for a reason, okay? It's not just an accident. Everybody wants to separate the secular and the sacred. They want to have their country and then they have their church, right? When in reality it is intertwined. Yes, there's a separation between church and state in that the state can't say what the church can do. However, the church is what builds the state. The church is what gives the state its morality, and the state can't function without properly, that is, without the church. So, if Christians aren't proactive in the government, if Christians aren't willing to make a stand against tyranny, against an intrusion on their rights, then it's just going to go from bad to worse, because Christians are the people who have always stood up to be patriots. Okay? So, an interesting point is that a lot of people will say, I'm going to talk from the perspective of being an American, but you could apply this to your country. Even if you live in communist China, or you live in... You're probably not hearing me if you live in communist China, or you live in Russia, or I do get some views from Russia, but maybe you live in Russia. Anyways, so even if you live in a country that's maybe not like America, maybe you don't have the same history that we have, I think these principles still apply. Anyways, a lot of people will point out that America's not God's chosen people, okay? And it's true. It's not like America is God's chosen people in the same sense that Israel was God's chosen people. However, here's an interesting point. You are a Christian, okay? I'm assuming you're a Christian. And you are in America, okay? So that makes America the nation of God's chosen people. You say, okay, hold on, where are we going here? I'm not saying that America is in some way more special than some other nation, though we do have a biblical foundation, we do have a biblical past. I'm not saying it's more special than our nation, but I am saying that since you are a Christian in America, that makes America the nation of God's chosen people, since you are God's chosen person as a Christian. Okay, so that means that you have a responsibility to work towards the fulfillment of that, of making America, or communist China, the nation of God's chosen people. And so, by that nature, that gives you an allegiance to country. It gives you a necessity for an allegiance to country. I feel like just by understanding that concept, now you can apply the different concepts we see in the Old Testament of the strict allegiance to country. And we can take those principles and we can apply them to our current situation. Once we understand that, while yes, we aren't God's chosen nation, we are the nation of God's chosen people, because there's Christians in every nation, you know? So, maybe that didn't make complete sense, but I don't know. It's helped me think through things, and I can't do anything more than what's helped me. You know, I don't have all the answers. The second one that I wanted to go over was, you owe it to the founders who fought for this freedom of yours. Now, a lot of people, here's the thing, when you don't have a crisis that you need to address, okay, when there's other people to stand up and be patriots for you, this can start to become a question, because you don't necessarily have to be a patriot, because there's other people who will do it for you. When in reality, every Christian man he can't just rely on others to be a force for good in his country, while he just stands back and allows it all to go to ruin, because the simple fact of the matter is there just aren't enough forces for good for any Christian man to stand by while America burns, or while Rome burns. He cannot. There is no. It's wrong. It is an absolute disregard for all the blood that was shed, all the men who risked their lives for your freedom. It's not free, So you owe it to your founders, to your ancestors who fought for this freedom, and then you also owe it to your children. The Bible says that we are to not just think single generation, but we are to be working for the good of the coming generations. So that means that I should be a patriot, if for no other reason, then my children deserve a better country than there is right now. And that would give me an allegiance to my country. Now, one thing that I think we do need to establish is, when I'm talking about a patriot, I think you need to separate that from a nationalist. Okay, so a patriot is someone who loves his country fiercely. That's the way I like to put it. Whereas a nationalist is someone who thinks that his country is better than every other country. Well, I like America. I think America is it's got a great foundation at any rate, even if it's crumbling. It's got a great foundation. I love my country. I'm not a nationalist. I don't believe that I'm somehow better than an Australian because I'm an American. That's not what I am. But I do love my country because my God's put me here, and because God has given me a responsibility to seek after the good of that country, to suffer if necessary for the good of that country. Okay, so then I kind of wanted to turn around and ask the question in reverse. Is it necessary that a patriot be a Christian? Because there's a lot of people throughout history who have maybe not necessarily been very strong Christians, but they were patriots, at least by some people's standard. However, there's a couple of problems you're going to run into if you try to be a patriot without having a Christian basis. First of all, where's your moral standard going to come from? And this is really the biggest problem, because a patriot is fighting for a cause. Okay, if you don't have a cause, you're not a patriot. You're just a rebel or a fighter. You could be a rebel without a cause, but you cannot be a patriot without a cause. You have to have a country that you're willing to fight for, and you have to have a set of standards that you want to see in that country, okay? That's really what a patriot does. And so the first problem that you're going to have here is your moral standard. So as far as I see it, if you don't have a moral standard from the Bible, there's not a lot of other options out there, right? So you could have it from yourself, and so now suddenly you are the moral standard, and guess what? We don't have a republic. We have anarchy now. That is anarchy. You can't have a republic or the government that we have in America if you are the moral standard, because that's anarchy, and that destroys nations, because man is inherently evil. Okay, so that doesn't work. So maybe you have your nation as your moral standard. Okay, and here's where it gets a little interesting, because a lot of people, they take the Constitution as their moral standard. Well, here's the problem. I like the Constitution. It's a really great document. Everybody should read it. I've read it through several times. It's a great document. It was written by fallen people, but as far as it went, it's a solid document. I like that. I like the Constitution. However, it doesn't give you a moral standard. It just gives you a system of government, assuming that you already have a moral standard, and that moral standard is based in Christianity. That's what the Constitution assumes. In fact, the language of the Constitution necessitates that. I'm sorry, there's some screaming in the background. That's just kids. They're having fun. Like I said, there's no kids being tortured or anything. We like all of our kids. They're just having fun. And, farm kids have fun in a really loud way. Sorry, that had nothing to do with what I was saying. So you could have it in... What I'm trying to say was, the Constitution cannot be your moral standard. The Constitution is based off of a moral standard that stems in Christianity. Okay, the other problem is that if you have your nation as your moral standard, okay, now you can't really be a patriot because you're going to go with what your nation says. Okay, because a patriot stands against evil, the perceived evil that he sees in his nation. He will not let a violation of his rights, because he knows that if you violate his rights, you're going to take more rights, which will violate his fellow citizens' rights, and he's just not going to allow that. And that's where you start to fall into nationalism again if you are going to take your nation as your moral standard. Because now you're probably not going to want to see the faults in your country. You're going to blind yourself to the faults. And here is what really defines a patriot. A patriot recognizes the faults in his country, but he loves his country enough to fight to see those faults righted. Okay? Whereas the nationalist blinds himself to the faults of his country, the patriot acknowledges the faults of his country and yet still loves his country enough to fight for it. The cynic, okay, sees the faults in his country and he says, oh, it's all hopeless, just let it burn. You aren't allowed to do that as a Christian. You just aren't. God gave you your country. And to just, say, no, it's too broken, let it burn, is an utter, absolute dereliction of your duty as a Christian and as a man. And it's cowardly. So, do I believe that, for these reasons, with this logical plea, do I believe that a Christian should be a patriot, must be a patriot? Yes, I do. And do I believe that a patriot must be a Christian? At risk of taking some flack, yes, I do believe so. Okay, so that was the topic that I wanted to talk about. Again, more screaming kids in the background. Again, still not being tortured. I did actually have some questions that I wanted to get to. I posted a short, and so then I got some questions from off the web. I don't even know if these people watch the channel or if they follow the channel or anything. So if this is your question, it's your lucky day because you're getting featured on Nebraska Farm Boy. So yay for that, because I think it's pretty special. I may be biased. So, the first question was, do I support the gay pride community? I don't know why you had to ask that. I don't think that you were a follower of the channel if you had to ask that. Now, I want to be very clear here. I don't hate anybody in the gay pride community. In fact, I have people in my family who are part of that community. Not my immediate family, but my extended family who are part of that community. I don't hate them. I don't. I understand that, but by the grace of God, there go I. It's not that I think I'm better than them. However, this ties very well into our topic because as a patriot and as a Christian, I can't stand by and just let this go. So first of all, you asked if I support the gay community. I won't call it the gay community. That's a stolen word. Okay, gay used to mean happy. It used to be a good word. They stole that word. Okay, I do not support the sexually perverted community. Okay, again, I don't hate the people, but I hate their sin. I cannot abide the sin because my God hates the sin. And more than that, a lot of people think that it's a harmless sin. It's just something between two consenting adults, right? Again, we're assuming that, right? But it's not harmless. No sin is harmless. See, homosexuality destroys the family. It attacks God's order at its most basic level. And here's what happens if you destroy the family. You destroy all sense of social order, okay? You destroy all the family is the most basic unit of Christianity. The church is not the most basic unit of Christianity. The family is the most basic unit of Christianity. And what all sexual perversions seek to do is they seek to destroy that. And it's wrong. It's the most heinous wrong that you can do to Christianity, that you can do to a nation. Because the nation, my country, is built on the family. It's not built on the Constitution. It's built first and foremost on the family. The family is the most basic form of government in our country. It's not the states, it's the family. The family is the most basic form of government in our country. You take away that, you've destroyed my country. You cannot take my country. I'm a patriot. I will fight for that. A patriot is someone who has the love of a Christian and the fierceness, of a patriot. So that's not something you want to mess with, okay? The second part about that is you asked about the gay pride community. Okay, pride is a sin. Okay, it is. On all levels, pride is a sin. It's exalting yourself above God. No, I don't support that. I won't even touch that. That's something that, no, you don't say that. That's like absolute blatant blasphemy. No, No, I don't support that, okay? Again, I don't hate the people, but I cannot tolerate sin. Okay. The next question was a little bit more lighthearted than that one, okay? And this one, do I have any animals, and if so, have I ever got emotionally attached to them? Okay, this is actually a good one. Yes, we have a lot of animals. We have basically every kind of animal that you could imagine. We have cows, sheep, horses, a horse, well, soon to be 2 horses, because horses multiply sometimes. Anyways, then we have chickens, pigs, ducks, guineas, rats, rabbits, raccoons, velociraptors, but that was a CIA project. They won't let me talk about it. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, you know, all that. Yeah, we've got everything, okay? And so I'm assuming you are not talking about cats and dogs, because of course you get emotionally attached to a cat and dog. It's really sad. Well, some cats, not most cats, but dogs, you know. It's really sad when the dog dies, and you know, of course you're gonna cry a little bit when the dog dies. So yeah, we'll just like assume we're not talking about those kind of pets. So you're probably talking about farm animals, because you probably understand that the farm has a very clearly defined circle of life. You know, you have the cute baby calf that's born, but eventually it's going to become hamburger, right? So that does create a bit of a dilemma, especially for a young kid, you know? So as far as emotional attachment, there have been animals that I was sad to see go, but it's not like, when you live on a farm, you very quickly come to understand the difference between people and animals. There's no confusion about that among farm kids. They know that, you know, that grandpa is a human, but the old bull is an animal. You know, there's no confusion there, right? So you understand from the beginning that this is going to be eventually my dinner. You know, so it's not like I'm a cold-hearted killer or something, because I am the butcher on the farm. Like, most everything that dies is killed by me. It's like, I'm not a cold-hearted killer. I feel kind of sad when, you know, when an old milk cow has to be butchered. I mean, that's kind of sad. Or even just, like, shooting an animal. It's kind of like, you know, death isn't really a natural part of life. Though at the same time, you know, there is a good feeling from, you know, getting a good, clean shot on the animal. There's something that just makes you feel kind of big when you know, there's that big 2,000-pound steer, and you raise your sights, boom, and you go, boom, it falls backwards. It's kind of a good feeling. But I'm getting a little bit off topic here. As far as emotional attachment, yeah, it kind of depends on what you mean. You know, not a cold-hearted killer, but at the same time, I'm not crying over every chicken that I kill, or every duck or whatnot, you know. But I figured that to close this out, I would show you a video from an old channel that I used to do with my sister of a pig that I would not say emotionally attached to, but I definitely considered her like a pet that I half liked, okay?
Mr. Borington. Chef Borington, we are about to turn on the camera. Are you ready?
Of course I am! I'm a cook! What else would I be but ready?
Hey folks, this is Keek reporting at Mintic Family Farms. Today we are being joined by Chef Walter Borington, a specialist in animal nutrition and...
Tasties!
Animal tasties. Today Mr. Borington will be shown with our pig, Mrs. Berkshire P. Lawrence. He has prepared a special plate that he is going to be showing us very shortly. But right now, we are going to be heading out to Mrs. Berkshire P. Lawrence's pen. Are you ready?
Ah, I told you I was!
All right, please explain what's in your dish.
Well, that's the wrong question. The right question is why I made this dish. Because I kind of have a fond spot right here in my big heart for animals. This dish is because of my big heart.
All right, please explain what's in your dish.
They abuse the pigs more than any other animal on the planet.
Well, I decided that I would make something special for this special pig. I made this dish for a more special pig.
Sir, the ingredients.
This is very special for a special pig.
The ingredients, sir.
I made this dish very specially for this very special pig. Well, I decided that I would make something special for this special pig.
Mr. Borrington, perhaps we should just get to the meal.
Yeah.
Okay, Chef Borrington, would you like me to now?
No! I will feed my own dishes to my own favorites. Oh, you good pig. She just kind of wants me to get in a little closer.
Chef Borrington, perhaps you should.
Oh, you awful pig! Oh, you horrid, nasty thing!
So yes, that's Mrs. Berkshire P. Lawrence. No, I'm not going to tell you where that channel is because you don't need to see that stuff. It would give you a completely different impression of me. I'm cool. Like this channel, I get to be cool. Back then, I was comic. So that was my version of it. Anyways, I guess that's what I've got for you guys today. Thanks for joining me again. I hope you all have as great of a time as I am about to have, because every week can be a good week so long as you are willing to put the work in to make it a good week. We'll see you next time.